Good evening, friends. Wow, I don't know how to follow up that. That was amazing. Can we just give another round of applause? That was so beautiful. Today is October 27th, 2016, and I'm 18 years old. I'm a first year in college. And it's hard to believe, but I've lived in 2 different millennia, 2 different centuries, and I guess now 3 decades. And it's such an exciting time to be alive. And I think we get this all the time from different authorities, different leaders, and even our peers, and from ourselves as well, that this is an exciting time for us to be alive, for us to be the young generation. There's new technology, new innovation, perhaps even a vacation to Mars in our new future. But with all of these things, there are responsibilities for us to have. These are years that ask questions, and these are years that answer. There are new problems that come along with change. With technological change, there also comes problems of cyberbullying, of hacking, of digital theft, and identity theft. These are problems that we have to address, and problems that are forced upon our generation. And sometimes, it can just feel so overwhelming. I don't understand computers well enough to even begin to think about these questions. And yet, we are being told to answer them. And so sometimes it feels like just question after question with no answers. And yeah, there are scientific discoveries every day, but those are constantly being overturned, questioned even further. And so it's an endless stream of questions in these years for us to face. There are questions of environmental issues, of climate change, of rising racial tensions, of economic disparity, both within our own nation and internationally, of developing countries and developed countries. There are problems of human rights, with human trafficking happening right under our noses in New York City, and that's up to us to address. And so sometimes the pressure to achieve just becomes too great. We are told by ourselves, by our parents, by our grandparents, by our current leaders, that we are to become the next leaders of the new generation. But where do we begin? So as a first year, I decided to join a few new organizations. And I joined this called Sprout Up. And so we go into local elementary schools in New York City and teach environmental science, which is something that comes with a new generation, a new year. And so our lesson last week was about ecosystems. And so we taught ecosystems are places where living things interact. And so we asked a few questions. Do you think New York City is an ecosystem? Yes? Yeah! Yes, good. New York City is an ecosystem because there are places that we live and interact with one another. Is your school an ecosystem? Yeah, I live here. And yes, that was amusing, and it garnered a few laughs here and there from the volunteers. But thinking about it that night, as I journaled about it, it made me really, really consider this. Because really, from a very young age, these were first graders, they've been taught that school is a place where they live, where they're meant to achieve. And whether that's academically, extracurricularly, or in whatever talents they might have, they are told to achieve. I grew up in Palo Alto, California, a place famous for Stanford University and a place infamous for student suicides. I went to Gunn High School, which might have some recognition in this room, and I knew 3 of the students who committed suicide. One of them was a family friend, actually, and at the time, I didn't know how to react, but now I'm slowly putting together the pieces that it's not our fault, really. And it's not anyone's fault. It's just the pressure that comes along with living in a new generation and all of the tensions that we have to deal with and have to face. And so perhaps there were other contributing factors to this, but I do believe that living in a new generation is difficult. And sometimes I think the solution, and no, I definitely think the solution is just for us to be wanderers. It's okay. It's okay to not have a defined major when you come to college, or even to not go to college at all. My best friend now is an artist working in an Italian cafe in California, and she's happy. She's happier than a lot of the people I've met here at college who are living the stress culture that I've grown up with at home. And so, let us be wanderers. My mother, who is my biggest role model, against all of her parents' wishes, was an English major in college. And now she's an engineer who was on the team who invented the, wireless charging device. She's a working mom supporting a stay-at-home husband and 2 daughters. And she is happier than she could ever be because she didn't put pressure on herself to have a certain direction. And so, let us be wanderers. Thank you.